job on it.
Ahojte, krásny deň v skupine. Ja som veľmi rada, lebo dnes sa tu stretávam spolu s doktorom Antonym Mattisom a s Ivanou Fáber. Ja som Tereska Dobrotová. Ahojte. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
A o čom sa dnes ideme baviť je, používate svoje telo ako zdroj súdov alebo možností. So what we're going to talk about today is our bodies and if we use them as a source of judgment or possibility. I'll leave you to it, Ivana, with your questions.
So hi Tereska, hi Anthony. I'm really happy you are here. Ahoj Teresko, ahoj Anthony. Jsem šťastná, že tě tady máme. You facilitate a lot of different classes in the scope of access consciousness. And so one of the classes you facilitate is like 3-day body class, but other class you facilitate is Opening Symphony. And if you don't mind, I would like to ask you at the beginning of this is how you experience the difference between those two approaches. Is it okay for you to talk about that?
Sure.
Takže já jsem se hned na začátku zeptala Anthonyho, protože on facilituje spoustu různých tréninků v rámci Access Consciousness a jedním z nich, který facilituje 3denní body class, ale potom taky facilituje symfonii možností tréninky. A jak vnímá vlastně rozdíl mezi těmi dvěma prostředky, které jsou naprosto odlišné?
That's a great question because really there's so many different resources available within Access Consciousness. And so the way that I look at it is like each resource, whether it's the body class or the symphony of possibilities, those are just two, but there's so many more. They all each offer their own sort of like energetic resource. It's just different.
Skvelá otázka, lebo v Accesse je toľko rôznych zdrojov. Symfónia možností a kurzy o tele sú v podstate dva, ale majú v sebe ešte ďalšie jedinečné zdroje.
Because like whenever someone has like a limitation, like something that they haven't been able to change, there's so many layers to it. And sometimes many of those layers aren't not even layers. A lot of it could be energetic.
Lebo keď sa niekto venuje nejakému svojmu obmedzeniu, tak má to vrstvy a niektoré vrstvy v podstate ani nie sú vrstvy, ale je to energetické.
Now someone with a scientific mind might be like, well, what does that actually mean?
A niekto, kto má takú vedeckú myseľ, povedzme, tak si môže povedať, že čo to vôbec znamená.
Now, if I could describe it to you, I would probably win some sort of scientific award by some world organization of some sort.
Keby som vám to vedel vysvetliť, tak by som asi získal nejaké ocenenie z vedy.
But what I can tell you is it's those things that no matter how hard you've tried, you have not been able to change.
Čo vám ale viem povedať, že sú to tie veci, ktoré je jedno, ako veľmi ste sa snažili, neboli ste schopní ich zmeniť.
Which means that it's something that's beyond the unconscious mind.
Je to niečo ešte za hranicou nevedomej mysle.
It's beyond creating new neural pathways.
Je to ešte ďaleko za hranicami toho tvorby nových akoby nervových ciest.
It's even beyond the realm of science from my point of view.
V podstate je to ešte za hranicami toho, čo veda chápe.
Or at least modern day science as we know it.
Alebo povedzme moderná veda.
So the different classes, they offer like sort of like these different frequencies to destroy basically and uncreate those things that you haven't been able to change in certain areas of your life.
Tieto kurzy nám ponúkajú, povedzme, rôzne frekvencie na to, aby sme mohli fakt zničiť, odstrániť tie veci, ktoré nefungovali v našom živote.
Yeah. So I listened to your Facebook live that you did with Brandon Watt not so long ago, I think week ago. And you said that what you discovered with Symphony of Possibilities is that it brought you from actually focusing on problems beyond that to creation of your life. Would you say it worked like that for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, like all of Access did that for me, but cool. Especially though, like, you know, the Symphony of the Possibilities work, and also the body classes, and also the bars too, the Access Consciousness bars. I can't, even though that's the first thing we learn, you know, it's like, it is one of the most powerful tools I've ever come across in all my years in studying holistic, you know, metaphysical things.
Takže já jsem se nedávno dívala na Facebook Live, který dělal Anthony před týdnem a on v něm mluvil o tom, že ho vlastně symfonie možností dostala z toho dívat se na své problémy a omezení k tomu vidět možnosti tvorby svého života.
Like with access consciousness, the bars, right? That is like defragging the brain the way you would defrag a computer at the worst case scenario.
A že v podstate takýto uhol pohľadu na to od problémov ku tvorbe života mu ponúkajú všeobecne nástroje Access Consciousness. Už len začneme s Access Barsami, ktoré už iba taký ten najmenší efekt, ktorý to má, je v podstate to, ako keby sme defragmentovali, povedzme, vyhadzujeme jednoducho tie staré súbory z mozgu.
On a basic level, it impacts the brain in such amazing ways.
Úplne na tom spodnom leveli, povedzme, že to rôznymi spôsobmi ovplyvňuje náš mozog.
And beyond that, it somehow accesses things that are beyond the cognitive mind, the subconscious mind. It's too deep for this particular call, but again, the bars is the first place you start, but it is it's nothing short of being a miraculous tool that we can all use and that we have available.
A siaha to ešte aj za hranice fakt nevedomej, podvedomej mysle a tak. A je to možno niečo až ako príliš veľká téma na tento live, ale je to fakt jeden z takýchto skvelých nástrojov, ktoré máme dostupné.
Now for me personally, like the body classes, they have this where you put your hands on the body, you're actually touching the body, and bodies naturally, innately love to be touched.
Pre mňa tieto telesné kurzy, povedzme kurzy o tele, kde sa dotýkame tela, tak naše tela už len samé milujú dotyk.
Now some people out there might be like, my body doesn't like to be touched. I've had a lot of abuse. You have no idea. And I get that. And Access also has resources to help with abuse.
A niektorí možno, ktorí aj sledujete, tak si hovoríte, ale ja nemám rád dotyk. Nemám rád, keď sa ma dotýkajú a to môže byť spôsobené napríklad zneužitím. A aj Access má ďalšie nástroje a zdroje práve na tému zneužitia.
Yeah. But with the body classes, I know for me personally, they have this way of bringing up and exposing those limitations where they're actually right in front of your face. And then you actually begin to have more space. And then you recognize that you actually have choice now.
Kurzy o tele majú túto schopnosť, že vynesú na povrch tie obmedzenia, vynesú na povrch tieto veci, aby sme ich potom fakt videli pred sebou a mohli zmeniť.
In addition to that, it helps you to have more awareness of what your body is trying to communicate with you. So it creates a greater communion between you and your body.
Okrem toho vám to umožňuje mať ešte aj väčšie vedomie ohľadom toho, ako s vami vaše telo komunikuje.
Most people are walking around completely ignoring their body.
Väčšina ľudí ignoruje svoje telo.
They kind of treat their body as a garbage dump.
V podstate sa správajú k svojmu telu ako ku smetnému košu.
Or they use it as a source of judgment.
Alebo ho používajú ako zdroj súdov.
What if our bodies are meant to enjoy?
Čo ak naše telá sú tu na to, aby si užívali, alebo aby sme si s nimi užívali?
What if our bodies was like a guide for us to be able to navigate through this world?
Čo ak naše tela sú tu na to, aby nás viedli a pomáhali nám orientovať sa v tomto svete?
Yeah. What if our bodies are giving us information about the world around us, both physical and non-physical?
Čo ak nám naše tela dávajú informácie ohľadom svetu okolo nás, toho fyzického aj nefyzického?
So if we're willing to actually listen to our bodies, if we're willing to develop the sensitivities to the information our body's giving us, we can change almost anything.
Ak sme ochotní počúvať naše tela, vnímať tie informácie, ktoré nám dávajú, tak môžeme takmer všetko zmeniť naozaj.
And with the SOP work is really cool because you could actually do that from a distance.
A zase
like where we are right now, like I can work on you doing the SOP energies.
A zasa práca s SOP je skvelá v tom, že to môžete robiť na diaľku, ako teraz by som na vás mohol začať práve robiť SOP.
And obviously we can do it in person too.
Samozrejme to môžeme robiť aj osobne.
And the body is very much included.
A telo je do toho zahrnuté.
However, you're also working on the energy bodies.
Takisto, ale pracujete aj na tých energetických telách.
And so what if some of the things that we haven't been able to change in our life, whether it be emotional or physical, are where we're actually stuck in our energy bodies?
A čo ak niektoré z tých vecí, ktoré sme práve nemohli zmeniť, tak boli v tých energetických telách?
So again, the SOP is just a different energetic resource, a different frequency in which we can change those things where we may be stuck. That's beyond the physical.
SOP je ďalší energetický zdroj, ďalšia frekvencia, ktorou môžeme zmeniť to, kde sme zaseknutí povedzme v tej nefyzickej ríši.
So people get a greater sense of communion and ease with their bodies, but also finally beginning to acknowledge the gift that they are.
A ľudia tak môžu získať väčšie spoločenstvo a ľahkosť s telom a takisto ale začnú uznávať ten dar, ktorým sú.
So one of my greatest joys when working with people is for people to get to acknowledge the gift that they are.
Jedno z veľkých potešení pre mňa je, keď ľudia začínajú uznávať ten dar, ktorým sú.
Where they have a greater sense of themselves.
Kde vnímajú viacej samých seba.
And they start to recognize things that are beyond maybe the abuse or the gaslighting that they received growing up.
A začnú si uvedomovať tie veci, ktoré siahajú ďaleko za to, kde trebárs v detstve boli zneužívaní alebo to, čo zažili ťažké.
So when I get to observe someone where that light bulb goes off inside their head, like, oh my God, I am a gift. I do have talents and capacities.
A ja práve môžem ľudí pozorovať a keď sa im rozsvieti, povedzme, a zistia, že áno, ja mám tieto kapacity a som dar.
I don't have to let my past dictate my future.
Nemusím nechať moju minulosť, aby diktovala moju budúcnosť.
Something different for me is actually available.
A niečo iné mám dostupné.
So yeah, so it's like all of that.
Je to všetko dokopy.
And so all of that contributed to my life personally.
A všetko toto aj mne osobne prispelo do života.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I was having a session a couple of days ago, and the lady told me she would like to be at the opening symphony, and she said what you just said. This is what I would like to get, and I said, since this is what I'm going there for, and this class is going to give it to me, like this expansion and this acknowledgement of me. And she didn't even take ESB yet, and she's going to buy it so that she can be at the opening of symphony. And it was such a wonderful conversation with her, because she already knew that she has to be there.
Yeah.
Takže já jsem před pár dny jsem měla konzultaci s paní, která říkala přesně to, co teďka pojmenoval Anthony, že to je to, co vnímá, že na tom kurzu může dostat, že to, ta expanze je to, pro co si tam chce jít, a ona ještě nemá za sebou ani ESB, což je předpoklad. Vlastně Opening Symphony říkala, že si ten kurz pořídí, protože opravdu chce tam být a chce to zažít.
I love when people come in with that point of view, because, you know, ask and you shall receive. She will receive everything that she's actually asking for and more, because she's already open.
Zbožňujem, keď ľudia prídu s týmto uhlom pohľadu, lebo fakt požiadaj a je ti dané a ona dostane toto a ešte viacej tým, že požiadala.
Yeah, but I do want to say though, it may not show up like how she may expect.
Ale aj chcem povedať, že sa to vôbec nemusí ukázať tak, ako by to očakávala.
Sometimes it requires us to go through this sort of like phase or process of extreme vulnerability.
Niekedy je na to nutné, aby sme išli cez obrovskú zraniteľnosť.
And that could be a bit uncomfortable sometimes.
A to môže byť veľmi nepohodlné niekedy.
But if you're willing to be uncomfortable, God, you'll have more of you than you've ever had before.
Ale ak ste naozaj ochotní ísť do toho nepohodlia, tak získate z toho oveľa viac seba, než kedy ste mali predtým.
And sometimes it could be super easy.
A niekedy to zase môže byť úplne jednoduché.
It just all depends on what you're actually extracting.
Záleží na tom, čo vlastne vyťahujete.
And how many years that they've had it going on, or thousands of years, or millions of years.
A koľko rokov vlastne sa im diala táto vec, alebo koľko tisíc rokov, alebo miliónov rokov.
But we're talking about the possibility of changing things beyond like what psychotherapy can do for someone.
Bavíme sa o tej schopnosti meniť veci, ktoré treba sa cez psychoterapiu nedali zmeniť.
And I can only say that, and it's not to put down that profession, but I've done all those things. I've done many modalities. I did psychotherapy. I did group therapy. I actually loved going to it, but there was only certain levels that they were able to get to and access. What we're talking about is energetically extracting things out of someone's universe. That's like way beyond the subconscious mind.
A nehovorím to na to, aby som znevažoval takéto metódy. Ano? Ja som sám prešiel psychoterapiou, vyskúšal som toľko rôznych modalít, ale neboli schopné ísť tak hlboko. A to, o čom sa my teraz bavíme, je naozaj akoby vyťahnuť to, zmeniť to z energetického hľadiska, hlboko v energii.
Yeah, so what a gift.
Yeah. And Anthony, could you explain the energetics of your private or / group sessions? That's the question that I'm really getting a lot of, because in the Czech Republic they never experienced. Well, they did actually 4 years ago, but that's a long time ago. Your sessions, and so there is a confusion about how it's going to look like or what the possibilities are.
Yeah.
Mohla bys prosím tě objasnit, jak vlastně fungují tvoje sezení, které jsou soukromé, lomeno skupinové, jak to vlastně funguje, protože v Česku jsme je měli naposled před 4 lety a ne každý ví, jak to vlastně vypadá a co to umožňuje.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, a private session is just where it's me and one individual, working together. And, the benefit of that is to, sometimes if the person has a lot of questions, I could spend the time and do some of the verbal processing or verbal facilitation before we actually begin the session.
Na osobnom sedení v podstate som fakt s jednou osobou a predtým, než treba začne sedenie samotné, tak si sadneme, facilitujeme, no, rozprávame sa.
And with the group session, it's a gift in its own way, in the sense that when you have more than one person in the group, over the last 11 years, what I've got to observe is how each person energetically contributes to each other without them even knowing it.
A zase to skupinové sedenie je svojský dar, pretože tam som si mohol všimnúť za tie roky, ako každý jeden prispieva tomu druhému, ako to vlastne funguje navzájom.
So what I have found in group sessions where it's like, there'll be people that I've worked on before, like in a private session, but I couldn't quite change certain things. But when I would work on them in a group session, and I'd be working on a totally different individual over here, whatever I wasn't able to change in the private session, for whatever reason, whatever this person had going on, it contributed to changing something over here for the other person. So everybody contributes to each other.
Napríklad zaujímavá vec bola, keď som na individuálnom sedení nedokázal zmeniť niečo a potom, keď tá osoba prišla aj na skupinové sedenie, ja som treba pracoval na niekom úplne inom v tej skupine, tak vtedy sa to energeticky zmenilo. Takže zase, ako si tam navzájom prispievajú.
And it happens all the time, and it happens globally, and it's amazing how it works.
A deje sa to všade, deje sa to globálne, je to úžasné, ako to funguje.
And so, like, a lot of times people say, well, won't you get tired? Isn't it too much for you energetically to work on so many people at once?
Niekedy, keď sa ľudia pýtajú, že či to nie je náhodou energeticky náročné pracovať na toľkých ľuďoch naraz?
And I'm like, no, because we're all working together to actually contribute to each other. It's actually easier for me, believe it or not.
A ja vravím nie, lebo tým pádom, že si navzájom prispievame, tak je to v podstate ľahšie.
Yeah, it's like you don't have time to go into one person's world.
Nemáte čas na to,
like you would in a private.
So
they both have their contributions and things like that. But yeah, the group session to me is amazing because it's like I get to play with the different bodies and beings, and then they actually contribute to each other. And it's such a gift, and it happens all the time. And yeah, the only thing you can't do is like the talking piece a lot, right? Because there might be many people in the group and it's hard to like facilitate one person for 30 minutes in a group.
Wow. Sorry. A v podstate jediná tá vec, ešte predtým, ak si pamätáš, že mne to ušlo, ale jediná tá vec, teda, čo sa tam v podstate nedá, tak je tá verbálna facilitácia, že ako by sme mali čas v podstate pri tom individuálnom sedení.
V podstatě ten začátek byl opakování toho, o čem jsme mluvili, že si navzájem přispívají a že se to děje při každém tom sezení a jak je to úžasné přispívání si navzájem. Yeah, it's so amazing when you speak about it, and it's so often that I'm really touched by the way you can speak to these energies. That's clear, and that's also like so that we can imagine how it works in an easy way.
Yeah. I thank you for that. And I just, I kind of just take people on the journey that it's been for me, and also my observation from working on people for the last, however many years, last decade at least.
Decade, yeah. So, já jsem jenom říkala, že je to vlastně úžasné pokaždé Anthonyho poslouchat, když mluví o energetických sezeních, protože si zatím dokážeme představit, jak to vlastně funguje a je to názorné, je to snadné, když ho posloucháme.
Ja v podstate beriem tých ľudí na tú cestu, ktorou som si prešiel aj ja za týchto posledných 10 rokov.
Yeah, and that's also always amazing to hear the progress they're in. And it's 10 years, so most people may just know you for last 2 years and see you as somebody who's really amazing and has amazing talent. And of course, we always had those, but it was a lot of work that you did to get where you are, right?
Oh yeah.
A my teď, když se díváme na Anthonyho a obdivujeme jeho talent, tak možná ne vždycky si uvědomujeme, že to je 10 let a že zatím je obrovské množství práce, aby se dostal tam, kde opravdu je teď a byli jsme schopni vnímat ty talenty přes něj a vlastně i tu energii přes něj.
It's amazing how fast time has gone, but it's like for the last 9 years I've been blessed, literally. I don't know what other word to use for it, to be able to actually work on Gary and Dane, Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, and Dr. Dane Ear, the co-creator and the creator of the Symphony of Possibilities, privately. And because of that, it's opened me up to different universes, energetic universes, and it's allowed me to sort of pay it forward to all of you.
A čas ubehol naozaj veľmi rýchlo, ale to jedným z tých obrovských darov bolo to, že týchto posledných 9 rokov som mal možnosť pracovať, vlastne robiť súkromné sedenia na Garym a na Daneovi, na Garym Douglasovi, zakladateľovi Access Consciousness a Daneovi Hearovi, spolutvorcovi a zároveň aj tvorcovi symfónie možností. A bol som otvorený rôznym vesmírom naozaj, ktoré potom môžem zdieľať zase s vami.
And there's been such an evolution in consciousness, especially with all of Access, but in particularly with the SOP work.
A naozaj vedomie prešlo svojou vlastnou evolúciou v Access Consciousness aj s prácou s SOP.
Yeah, and that's why Dane is setting things up the way he is moving forward, starting now really into the next year where it's like the 4-day SOP classes have become, let's just say, there's different spaces that in energetic spaces that he would like to get to. And with now the opening of the symphony class, which is a 2.5-day class, it's sort of like me opening up this energetic doorway for people and saying, come on into this universe, just so you can sort of begin to explore and experiencing these energies that are available to you. So that by the time you get to the SOP class with Dane, it's like you're already prepared to receive these energies because it can be intense.
A za to aj Dane v podstate veci mení a nastavuje ich tak momentálne, že na to, aby sme mohli ísť pre tých, ktorí ešte neboli na kurze Symfónie možností, čo je 4-denný tréning s ním, tak najskôr ľudia prejdú cez tento 2,5-denný tréning so mnou, otvorenie symfónie, kde ja naozaj otváram dvere, do ktorých môžu ľudia vstúpiť, kde sa môžu začať hrať a vlastne používať tieto svoje kapacity.
Yeah, and a lot of people will say I have this way of translating Dane.
Veľa ľudí mi hovorí, že mám spôsob, akým dokážem prekladať Dana.
So it's just a different it's a different possibility for someone to access the energies of SOP, so it's easier for them. Not easier, it's just they just have more available to them in their sessions when they start working with other people themselves.
A je to spôsob určitý, tieto kurzy akoby dodávajú ľuďom aj tú možnosť alebo ten spôsob, akým môžu mať prístup k týmto energiám, ku SOP jednoduchším spôsobom a v podstate potom, keď idú na kurz k Danovi, tak už majú proste určité, už to precvičovali alebo tak, už sú v podstate niekde inde s tým.
And like you've said, Ivana, too, it's like, even people who've done SOP for years and years and years and years, a lot of the feedback that I get from people who have taken the Opening the Symphony class, they're like, I've never got SOP before, and now I get it. Now I know what else is possible with this work. Thank you. Because I just have a different way of sharing the information,
Aj ľudia, ktorí pracovali so symfóniou možností už roky, tak na kurze otvorenia symfónií mi povedia, a teraz mi podochádzali také rôzne veci, lebo ja proste mám ten svoj spôsob, akým tieto veci vysvetľujem.
Maybe you also have a different way of looking into it. It almost feels like you have a different way of looking into it that you can translate into words, and that's amazing.
Yeah. Did you want to translate that?
Yeah,
this is where I'm getting,
Well, it was beautiful.
Mně to připadá, jakoby Antony měl taky jiný způsob, jak se do toho dívá, o kterém dokáže mluvit, což je pro nás velice snadno uchopitelné.
What was beautiful about that is after you said that, you could see you bouncing into that energetic realm of it. So you were like,
I was looking at it as well.
Right, exactly.
Bolo to krásne, lebo práve ako si to hovorila, tak bolo cítiť, že si do toho energetického sveta proste vstupovala.
A ja som říkala, ja som sa do toho vnožila a dívala vlastne taky. Yeah, so that's the way how you bring people into the energy of symphony and totally out of their mind.
Yeah.
To je způsob, jakým ty vezmeš lidi vlastně naprosto z jejich mysli a do světa symfonie. And I would like to say one more thing, if I still know how. After the opening symphony, people actually can do sessions, right?
Yeah, they could be symphony practitioners and start doing, private sessions with people.
Takže po tom kurzu otevírání symfonie, který budeme mít v Praze, vlastně můžete začít dělat sezení SOP, nemusíte čekat až na nějaký další kurz, doktorem Danem.
Stanete sa praktikmi symfónie a môžete robiť individuálne sedenia.
Tak.
Yeah, and it'll also count, like, if you plan on doing an SOP class in 2024, if you come to the Prague class in September, oh my goodness, it's in September, it's right next month. It will count as fulfilling the prerequisites for the 4-day SOP class in 2024.
A ak chcete niekedy v roku 2024 ísť poprvýkrát na kurz Symfónie možností s Danom, tak tento pražský kurz, ktorý máme v septembri, otvorenie symfónie, sa bude rátať ako predpoklad na to, aby ste mohli absolvovať ten.
And Dane will be in Berlin the first weekend in November. That's what I was getting confused. Okay, the first weekend in November, he'll be doing the 4-day SOP class, which I actually facilitate the afternoon session.
Prvý víkend v novembri bude Dane takisto aj v Berlíne facilitovať symfóniu možností a ja na tomto kurze vždy facilitujem po obedia.
Yeah, and then if you want to get really crazy about it, then you have Maestro.
A ak naozaj chcete sa pustiť do mega jazdy s tým, tak ešte je tu kurz Maestro.
Which is like SOP on steroids.
Proste SOP na steroidoch.
Yeah. And it actually has the most amount of prerequisites out of all the access classes.
Je to kurz, ktorý má úplne najviacej predpokladov v rámci Access Consciousness kurzov.
Yeah.
So shall we invite everybody for the Prague adventure?
Nah, they don't want
to. No, you don't want to do that. Chceme pozvat všechny na pražské dobrodružství.
Ale preto nechcete.
Yeah, so we have two amazing classes, and I I was like, when you were talking about the new prereqs, I was like, we didn't even know when we set up the class that the opening symphony is going to get like in between the ESB and the SOP class with like the row of the symphony classes. It's so amazing. It's it's changing so fast and it's developing so fast, and it's actually, in a sense, it's getting more and more where Dane would like to have it.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Takže já jsem říkala, že bych ráda zmínila ty tréninky, které budou v září, a vlastně když jsem Anthonyho zvala, tak jsme vůbec ještě netušili, že ten trénink otevírání symfonie se dostane mezi ESB a SOP do té linie symfony tréninku, a že tak, jak se na to já dívám, tak mi připadá, že se vlastně celý ten vesmír symfonie dostává stále více a více tam, kde by ho Dane opravdu, co by zakladatel opravdu chtěl mít.
Yeah, that's what I love about you, Ivana, because you've always had this awareness, like you were enthusiastic about it before it counted for anything.
Of course.
Because you were aware of the possibilities, you were aware of what it can contribute to people. And that's really cool. And that's an acknowledgement of just the SOP universe and an acknowledgement of just your awareness. And so thank you for that. And but I just want to acknowledge you, and in having that awareness and being willing to jump in with all the joy and enthusiasm that you have.
A to je jedna z vecí, ktorú na tebe milujem, Ivana, lebo ty si bola za toto a bola si nadšená pre otvorenie symfónie. Ešte predtým, než sa to stalo predpokladom, vnímala si tam tie možnosti ako jedna z prvých, a je to niečo, za čo som ti vďačný, a je to uznanie tvojho vedomia, toho, čoho si bola vedomá s týmto kurzom.
And that's very different, because a lot of people had the point of view is like, well, if it's not a prerequisite for anything, why should I take it?
A to je veľmi odlišné, lebo veľa ľudí malo uhol pohľadu, že ak to nie je predpoklad, na čo by som mal na taký kurz ísť.
And it's like, well, maybe because it may expose you to different energies you didn't have access to before.
Možno, že by ste tým pádom mohli vidieť alebo byť vystavení energiám, ku ktorým ste predtým nemali prístup.
Yeah. So I want to thank you for that.
For me, it was like, hello, Anthony is facilitating it. Come on.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm grateful.
Pro mě to bylo samozřejmě, že tam chcete všichni být. To facilituje Anthony.
Děkuji, jsem vděčný.
So 16th, we are starting 16th of September in the evening, 7:30, and then I don't know what days those are, but it's 17, 18. 16 in the evening and 17, 18 whole days. It's opening symphony in the middle of Prague, Wenceslav Square. Takže začínáme 16. večer o 7:30, tuším, a potom 17. 18. celé dny, to je trénink otevírání symfonie v Praze na Václavském náměstí.
Yeah. And you and I will be co-facilitating the third body class right before that, right?
Wow.
A takisto my dvaja budeme spolu facilitovať kurz o tele, trojdenný kurz o tele.
13, 14, 15, 13, 14, 15 in Prague, finally, after 4 years since we talked about it for the first time.
Yeah.
Takže konečne po 4 rokoch, no.
13., 14., 15. září taky v Praze na jiném místě. Po 4 letech se nám podařilo vytvořit to, co už jsme dávno chtěli. How does it get even better than that?
Really, how does it get any better? So take time off of work.
What did you say?
I said take time off of work and come play.
Áno, takže zoberte si voľnosť z práce a príďte sa s nami hrať.
Does your body want to be at work, or does it want to lay on tables and gift and receive?
Chce byť vaše telo v práci, alebo ležať na masážnom stole a darovať a príjmať?
Yeah.
And the sessions with Anthony, the group sessions are available during the 3-day body class, and also during opening symphony. 3-day body class is for anybody. During the opening symphony is for the people who are taking part in the opening of symphony. So if you have interest in private sessions, let us know. Skupinové sezení, group sessions. Skupinové sezení jsou dostupné 13., 14., 15. během 3denního body class úplně pro kohokoliv v polední pauze a během otevírání symfonie pro ty, kdo jsou přihlášení na otevření symfonie, zase máme skupinové sezení. Wow.
How does it get better?
So cool.
Ako sa to zlepší?
Yes. So come play.
Yeah. Awesome.
So
Thank you,
amazing
ladies.
to have you in Prague. So much looking forward.
Oh,
Thank you.
Can't wait.
Ďakujeme.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you, Tereska.
Ďakujem, thank you.